Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another wonderful guest. We continue the celebration of the 5-year anniversary of Splinterlands with yet another longtime Splinterlander, longtime team member. He is the customer support manager for the team over at Steemmonsters, Splinterlands. You've whether you know it or not, this man has probably lent a hand to you at some point in the past. And without further ado, we welcome Royaleagle. Welcome to the show, Royal. Thanks for hopping on.
You're welcome. Hi.
Thanks for having me on your show. Good, you got your flub out of the way early, Ben. That's always great. Royal, thanks for jumping on with us. I was looking through some of your old PeakD articles and things, and I saw in there, your profile pictures of you. Looks like on a fishing boat. Maybe I don't know if that's out in a lake or something. I grew up spending a lot of time in the water as well, fishing. And I've always heard that there's two types of people. There's people who are good at fishing and people who are good at sitting on a boat and drinking a beer. I have always considered myself that in the latter camp. So how about you? What how good of a fisherman are you? Or are you better just hanging out in a boat having a beer?
Depends on the day. I enjoy both. I like to catch the fish. It's very thrilling. So you'll see there's actually a bunch of posts. I post pictures of some of the fish I've caught throughout the years. But good beer on a boat's also nice as well. That's that specific one is one of the lakes up here in New York. My ex-boss decided we needed a day off, so he took us out on a fishing trip, which was pretty fun.
Nice. Have you made that pitch to old Aggie yet to go catch some fish as a team?
Not yet. That'd be fun. Maybe in the next bull run, I can make a pitch to say, hey, we should go like a team out deep sea fishing out in like the ocean, catch some sharks or something. It's really exciting.
Some megalodons, some bacterias.
You guys ever gone deep sea fishing before?
Yeah, I grew up on the Jersey Shore, so that was a lot of what we did. I did a lot of fishing in the back bays, but almost all the fishing I've done in my life is saltwater. But I've done some good fishing. My cousin actually just went out last week and nailed like 10 tuna his trip. They got 10 yellowfin tuna. My parents were actually coming to stop by to visit me, so he sent a cooler down with some of it. We've been eating it all week to eat it fresh. It's been really good. So yeah.
Awesome. Oh, nice. Yeah, I grew up in the desert. Yeah, deep sea fishing was about as far as the imagination could take you there. Yeah. So Royal, you customer support manager at Splinterlands. What is that like, man? I kind of feel I worked in customer success in a previous life, and it wasn't quite customer support, but there was definitely a significant overlap between the two roles. But our customer support team was always kind of the unsung hero of the company. And I see you nodding in affirmation there, giving a little bit of validation to my statement. Give us the rundown, man. What does that look like for you?
We try to help keep a pulse on the community, see what's going on in the community. We also do a lot of education through our work too. So a lot of times people get really frustrated. They'll submit a ticket because they just don't understand parts of the blockchain or how the game functions. And so we try to meet the customer wherever they are in their experience and their journey, so they have a better time. We could be explaining anything from why all of a sudden in the middle of the season your rewards changed up, or you get different rewards than you were expecting, to things like having to explain how to get your keys and how to properly store them offline. We run a very full gambit of things, and we're a little bit different than most other companies in that we take so many different payment types, right? Like most companies just take like dollars or credit cards. We take dollars through PayPal, but we also take all these cryptocurrencies, and we have all these also complex transactions. So sometimes we have to track those down and help resolve those for customers as well.
How much of the kind of blockchain technology did you have an understanding of prior to coming to Splinterlands? Like, was this something that you had done previously as kind of a hobby, or was this past career that kind of led you here? What was that journey like for you?
So I guess we should have started there how I got here. In 2017, 2018, Bitcoin, like one of the first big pops of Bitcoin, I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Like, I want to get in on this train, but I don't want to spend that much money. How can I like figure out how to mine something or get in on this cryptocurrency without dumping a bunch of money into Bitcoin? And so I was like doing a bunch of Googling, and one of the things that came up on Google was this Steemit project where you could blog and you get paid if people liked your stuff. And I was like, well, I'm over here on Facebook writing senseless stuff over here on Facebook. People give me thumbs up. What if I like tried this over here? So I come over here to the platform, the Steemit platform. I'm like, okay, let me write some blogs. And I try a bunch of different things. You guys can check out my blog throughout the time. And I've slowly migrated away from blogging, but so I started off just checking out this whole ecosystem. What are these cryptocurrencies? How does this function? What's going on here? And so hopped into Steemit, kind of got into the blogging space, figured out real quick that my writing skills weren't the best in the world, so I wasn't making like buku bucks like I was hoping for. But the technology was really cool, and it was really fascinating to me that I got to own my content, so to speak. Whereas like on Facebook, the likes and the upvotes don't mean anything, right? Like, it's cool, the little emojis that you get there, but there's no reward for me to do that. Facebook gets paid all this money for this. So that's how I first got into Steem. And I got hooked up with Dave McCoy and the newbie Re-Steem project, where we were trying to like new users into the Hive ecosystem. Let's reach out to you. Let's become your friend. Let's make sure that you're getting seen, teach you about this ecosystem, so that you just hang out here, right? Because the more people that hang out here, the more value we have as an ecosystem. And then Dave's like, throughout the course of time, Dave's introducing me to new concepts and new people, and he's like, hey, you should check out these cards that are getting done. And I was like, I don't know, man, like, cards are cool, but I'm here to try to make some money, and these cards are, you're spending money on these cards. There's nothing we could do with them. They're just pictures. And so my first couple cards were given to me by Cryptkeeper 17, some alpha cards, and they kind of got me in and got me into this game and got me interested in here. So I remember back when the cards had no skills on them, I kind of got to learn about the whole blockchain throughout the course and the game, throughout the whole development of it, and watch it grow and just help onboard users as it's gone too. So the blogging thing wasn't as exciting for us. And so we kind of, as this game grew up, we onboarded people to this game because we'd already kind of built as David talked about, the network of networking with people and hooking up and exploring our similarities and doing lots of networking and teaching. So we would onboard people in the Splinterlands, and there was a bunch of us, and we played lots of different roles. Everything's from like investor type people that would buy decks and just like, here, come play with us. We'll give you a deck for free, to player status of, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm pretty good at this game, so I'll help teach people. So we did a lot of networking and community outreach through the Team Possible Guild in the beginning. We were a guild before there were guilds, just a bunch of people hanging out, having a fun time. And so fast forward, Splinterlands starts to take off, right? In 2021, pretty good friends with Biz because I've done lots of trades throughout the years. And I reach out one day, I'm like, Biz, how you doing, man? He's like, it's crazy over here. I was like, hey, do you need some help, man? I was like, we could come volunteer. I got some friends over here, pretty good at this. Come volunteer and give you a hand. So we kind of like mobilized and moved over and give a hand and volunteered for a while. And then they offered some of us some jobs because we were good at what we were doing, community outreach, helping people with the whole of the ecosystem, right? Because we've been here since Hive had forked from Steem. We kind of had an idea about how all the keys work. We were able to like communicate these ideas to the massive amounts of people who were just jumping into Splinterlands at the time, which is really useful because when you have talking about a bunch of people just hopping into a project, having no idea how the underlying structure works, it can get kind of messy. especially with, I thought I wrote my keys down, but it turns out that the L I thought on the paper was actually an I. And, having to like hold somebody's hand and like explain that to them so they could get their keys and make sure that they could still participate in the game, in the economy, because the keys are required for lots of the things that you do in Splinterlands. That's how I kind of got into the support role. And so it was like a volunteer role at first, and then they hired me on. I got used to, back then we were just Discord only, and a little bit of email support. And then they opened up, like September-ish, we opened up a Zendesk instance to collect the email and do it. It's like a ticketing software. And so I actually got in pretty early into that, like October of that year, like learning about that. And I've helped build that whole suite out. So I really got to like start at the volunteer level and then work my way up through the company, holding multiple different positions and helping develop out the support department.
Wow, that's fascinating. That you were just kind of volunteering your time at first, and is this kind of a full-time gig for you now, or is it still you do other stuff? Or
no, this is my full-time gig, man.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome.
This is my passion in life.
Yeah.
You let me come do my passion in life, and you're gonna pay me to do it. Like, all right, cool. Let me come do this. Let me come help people and teach people and make them satisfied people. Like I've worked a lot of customer service. I worked a lot of wineries growing up and other customer service type roles. So I've always had that wanting to help the customer out and make them happy kind of mentality.
Yeah, when we were talking with Dave earlier, he said that back in the early days that you were just the best problem solver. If there was someone had a problem, we needed to figure out a way to do something, it was turn to Royal, and he always came up with the best solution. So do you think that's kind of like one of your big strengths that helps you in your role?
Yeah, that, and I'm a fast learner, so I can pick up new technologies pretty quick. I had no experience with any kind of ticketing software, the different kind of requests or things like that. So it's all been learning and building on the fly. So learning has been a strength of mine. Quick learning.
Yeah, so you've kind of seen the full evolution of the game multiple times, and by the game, I guess looking at the bigger picture, the community, the economy, the kind of supporting third party stuff, everything that goes in with the game. The last couple of weeks we've had Azure Khan, we've had Dave McCoy, we've had Aggie on, and something that I've the first two guests kind of independently brought up the J6969 stuff. It sounds like you were around and present for that as well. And Dave alluded to a similar sentiment kind of floating around the ecosystem now that was present back then. Maybe not quite as amplified as it was back then. How are you feeling in terms of just kind of general conviction for the future of the game, your degree of confidence with the game? Obviously you have a passion for what you're doing, but kind of bigger picture stuff. Where do you sit with kind of your view of the future for Splinterlands?
I think Splinterlands is going to keep evolving and growing, and it's going to keep moving forward. I can speak. We talk about the J69 thing. That was one of the best things that actually happened in my life, because I was buying people out that were exiting at the time, and then like I became a whale on a minnow budget. So the J69 thing was actually one of the best things in my life. If you have a conviction of this game and you think that we're going to take off in the future, and you think there's a current sentiment now, I'd say you have a great opportunity if you think the same thing's going to happen again.
So did you become to really enjoy the gameplay itself, or was it really just the community and helping people out and trying to help onboard people, or kind of what was your thoughts on the game initially and kind of how it's evolved?
I love the game, and there's actually multiple different levels of the game, right? So I actually enjoy the gameplay. My favorite type of gameplay currently, if we're talking about like the actual card part, is the brawls. That's my favorite. I brawl across 11 accounts every brawl because I just enjoy them so much.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it's like I said, it's my favorite part. So like,
I thought I enjoyed them, and I got 2 accounts. Royal, you just took me to a whole nother level, bro.
I got a whiteboard to make sure I hit every one, man. And thank goodness for those brawl bots, because they remind me every week.
Do you still play your main account?
I still play my main account.
Were you playing your main account at around this time last night?
Yes, you definitely whooped me very
All
hard last night.
right. I was gonna say, I wonder if
Nice.
he noticed. So
I definitely noticed, man. I was actually gonna send you a message. I was like, I don't know if he's really playing right now or not. So let me just, I'll see him soon. We'll talk about it.
yeah, I
Oh
sent it
man.
to Jangles and I said, all right, I'm gonna bring this up tomorrow. We'll see.
Well, that was the best possible outcome right there. Is both of you guys kind of like silently keeping that in your pocket, and then only to find out that actually it is human versus human. Oh, that is great, man.
No, Royaleagle does not get botted. That's all me. Occasionally my kid will sneak on and play. One of my kids will sneak on and play, but that's all me.
So did you have a background in, we've noticed with a bunch of guests, myself included, I kind of grew up when Magic the Gathering was kind of blowing up, and that was kind of my initial introduction to the trading card game kind of genre of table games. So Splinterlands, at a gameplay level, the initial attraction was definitely, this is the next evolution of Magic. Oh, there she is. Nice. Royals showing some packs of Magic cards there. So I guess that answers the question.
Had them right there ready to pull out. I love it.
So was that kind of the initial attraction for you? Was this is kind of the next step of where Magic the Gathering could go and kind of taking it from there?
So I blog and I get paid, but wait. I get to play a game and I get paid to play a game. You guys want to build a game, I get paid to play. And it's Magic type things. I'm interested. Let me check this
out. How much of your, I had an affinity for life and death in Magic. Death has kind of continued to be my favorite in Splinterlands. Has there been some parallels for you in terms of your attraction to a particular splinter or element?
Green across both. I'm more blue now. I was more black, life, death. I'd be like life, death, green. Now I'm more blue green with a lot of white. I like. But
so what do you think about the I was super excited for Zerial, not necessarily the card, but what that card represents and the dual elements. That said, I did buy Zerial just from a pure collector standpoint. I do try and sneak her in when I can. I usually do not escape with a win, but I have a sneaky suspicion that we'll get some cards that will help support her as a must-have monster in the future. And I think the Soulbound cards represent a good piece of what could start to change the narrative around Zerial once those cards get maxed up and we start seeing them creep into the meta a little bit more at the higher levels. But that's something I always loved with Magic was the dual element stuff. How much of that are you excited about? I mean, I'm sure on the support team, you guys have a much clearer view of what the future holds and that sort of stuff. But as much as you can disclose, how excited are you about the prospect of dual elements?
I'm excited, man. Like, think about what the future could hold for us with dual elements. There's a couple things we need to work out along the way, but dual elements is very exciting territory for me.
So you said
it was a lot of fun to play testing.
Oh, nice. That's fun. Do you guys get to play test all the cards that are coming out?
We try to do QA on this. We're trying to get more mature about QA and make sure that it happens better and better. So we do play testing now a lot more before we kick it out to the community because we want to make sure that what we're releasing is quality.
Gotcha. So you said that you've got 11 accounts and you do the brawls for all of them. So I kind of became familiar with you on a more personal level as you have one of your alts in our, I'm in the Phoenix Arcade guild group, and you have one of your alts in our Phoenix Hatchlings, I believe it is. And so I knew you were on our Discord there.
I also have one in Neophytes too.
Oh, you do as well. Okay. So do you have your alts just kind of, do you try to spread out across different guild groups? Is that intentional, or are you, I know you're Team Possible for the main and.
So Team Possible for the majority. I've got one in what started off as kind of like a company guild, and now it's kind of like gone out from there. And I got one in Blazar Force, and then the rest are all in Team Possible guilds. It's just kind of been randomly placed along the way.
I love that you got to glance at the whiteboard to fact check yourself on where are my 11 accounts at. That's
down the list real quick. And 11 is kind of like up in the air. So one of them is actually my kiddo's account. And so sometimes she actually takes over. She plays the brawls herself. Like the first time that she figured out that martyr, Cora martyr trick with rebirth, she was like, so I taught her with one, and she's like, oh, she comes in like 5 minutes later. She's like, Daddy, come here. You got to check this out. Check out what I just did. This went up like so high. Look at the damage I'm giving this guy now. Good job, kiddo.
Cora doing it for everybody. That's awesome, man. Yeah, we had so I don't know how familiar you are with the People's Guild Royal, but we had previous host prior to Heptor and Waskell. Shout out to Waskell. He was using Splinterlands as kind of a financial learning tool for his kid, and using DEC and kind of giving an allotment weekly or monthly, however they kind of sorted that out, and allowing his son to hop in and use cards to help kind of earn, additional resources for himself and for the account. Is that something that you're kind of leveraging as a parent, and is that a sense of enjoyment for the kiddos?
Yeah, so both of my kids are interested in the game. 2 of my 3 kids are interested in the game and have active kind of management of their assets. I set up each kid back in the Steem days. I set up each kid a kind of wallet as like a joke experiment, and then I was like, kind of got into Splinterlands. I started dumping some cards in there when I had extra cards, and then all of a sudden I had like decks in there. I was like, well, kiddo, now you got a deck, and so they both like opening both chests and packs since the beginning. Been kind of a fun thing that they've enjoyed doing. So we've kind of like grown up, and I'm using it as both a long-term financial thing for them and also a teaching tool. We get to teach about like blockchain technology, right? So how many 7-year-olds do you know that didn't know the difference of what different keys can do, and things of that nature, and different keys have different authorities for them. So I'm using it as a multi-layered teaching tool for my kiddos.
So how often when we encounter issues on the blockchain within Splinterlands are we actually interacting with the progeny of Royal on the receiving end of our customer support tickets, man?
She doesn't work customer support, but she's like, Daddy, when I grow up, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to work for NASA, and I'm going to work for Steemonsters. Like, all right, dude, those are great goals. Hope you make them all.
You said you guys are using Zendesk software for client support now. I know before it was just doing it live in Discord and everything too, right? How crazy was that? Because that seems, I would look in that channel every once in a while, and it's just people banging questions out, and you guys are trying to rapid fire answer them. Like, is that just nuts? What was that experience like?
That experience was nuts, man. Like, I am so thankful for being able to write articles. Well, first we did macros, and then we did articles. So you'd approach us, we'd give you a response in an email. So we figured out that you could write a macro, include pictures in there, so I could take what was a 30-minute conversation explaining to you step by step. First you click here, then you click here, then you get this email. Oh, that didn't happen. Okay, well, we know what your problem is. Let's fix this for you. But just being able to have it in a codified form and being able to point people to it was so much better than the rapid fire question, just like craziness of trying to explain so many different functions of Splinterlands and the blockchain and the ecosystem to new users, right? It's not like your typical game where it's like, okay, like we just have this small knowledge that you have to know. It's like the tower defense, something that would sit on top of the blockchain, but you also have to know what's going on underneath, how the different things happen. I tried to send my DEC from BSC to Splinterlands, and it's not here. Why? Well, let's dig into this and let's figure it out for you. Do you know where the transaction ID is? Well, no, I have no idea how to get that. Well, okay, so doing all that in Discord is very crazy and hectic. Being able to handle it through a ticketing software system and also write articles for people so that they could go and get the information for themselves was very useful, and I think it's a lot of time and headache. and emotion too, because like when I'm trying to explain to you something and jangles something and this other guy something and her something at the same time, it might not hit all of you at the right pace for how quickly you want your stuff answered.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Royal, I'm curious, with all of the changes that we've seen in the last, 18 months, has there been kind of one singular change that has correlated with a massive spike in tickets for you guys? Is there or a couple of items that the team has rolled out that have triggered some big customer support influxes?
So one of the other nice things about moving from Discord to the ticketing software is as we built that out and developed that, we use that as a tracking. You can use it as a tracking tool and a reporting tool. So as customer issues come in, I can go back to the dev team and say, hey, I've got 35 issues of this. We need to expedite this solution here because we got lots of people talking about this. Or we can also use it for data tracking purposes to see how frequently a problem happens. So we make problem tickets and we link all of the incidents of when a bridge goes down or something like that. So then we can make data-driven decisions about moving things forward, about how to better solve things so that you don't have a bad experience, right? If we can prevent that incident from ever happening, you have a great experience and I have a great day too.
So there wasn't a kind of singular change in either gameplay or economy stuff that has triggered that for you guys that you can think of?
No, I mean, like we definitely get spikes when certain things happen, but there was no specific change that spiked a massive amount of tickets.
Yeah, when did you guys get Zendesk?
Like 21. They may have even had it in August, but we weren't heavily using it then. I don't know. I didn't get brought into the Zendesk part of it until October.
Of 2021?
Yeah.
And got you. And with the layoffs in November, late October, how much more of a support role have you taken on as a result of that? What has your day-to-day changes looked like since that? And did that affect the customer support group in a big way?
It did affect the customer support group in a big way. But we also have built out more tools to expedite and make our lives easier. So we've kind of counterbalanced the things that happen with new tools and new processes to make things quicker.
Do you guys still get any kind of crazy requests that you're like, why are these people even asking me this? It's just totally unrelated with the game or what's going on?
So sometimes we get requests to help support third-party stuff, and we're like, hey, like that is just, we didn't even build that. Like, and then like you have to have empathy for the customer, right? And realize that if you upset a customer, it could be somebody who could leave the ecosystem, and even though they're having a problem over there, so try to figure that out. But the customer's issue was that the server where they needed to get into in order to get tech support for the issue they were having required them to have their phone linked to their Discord, and their phone was linked to another Discord and they couldn't figure out how to unlink it. So we're having to like provide tech support for this person because we don't want to lose them, right? Like you can't be like, nah, it's not our problem, just like eat it, right? Like, no, like we got to explain this to you because otherwise you're going to get upset about the game and our ecosystem and take off, and we want to keep everybody here.
What about with the Terra Block bridge? Because I know that they had definitely had some bugs getting that thing working at first, right? And it was constantly like, hey, you got to check with them. You got to check with them. Like my transaction's hanging. I can't get this figured out. And, I had issues too. And so, yeah, was that kind of a big kind of hassle for you guys?
The initial integration was a little bit of a hassle, but we also spent some time with them as that was already in place to build better support tools. So when you submitted a request to us, we figured out what they needed from us in order to fix it for you, and would open a ticket on your behalf on their side instead of just being like, nah, go over there. So it took us a little while to build that out, but we eventually built out systems like that in order to proactively do that. And their bridge has actually gotten a lot better, and the process there is we barely see those tickets anymore, actually.
So I've heard you mention keys a handful of times. I'm going to take a wild stab and guess that's number one customer support issue that you guys see.
It's also the number one education issue that people are lacking on the Hive blockchain, right? Like, how many people really know what their keys do and how vulnerable they are if they misplace their keys, or better yet, like have somebody change out one of your keys. Maybe you used a front end that lets you send in the memo one of your keys in the memo, and then that bot scoops your active key and changed your two lower keys on you. All of a sudden, you got problems, right? So keys and making sure that you're safe with them is a very important thing to me, because it's something that a lot of people in this ecosystem struggle with.
I feel like that's a tremendous silver lining. All things considered, obviously that's probably a source of massive headaches and a true test of y'all's patience on the customer support team to continue to kind of bump your heads against the keys issue. But at the same time, that kind of signals to me that folks are coming to the game without previous knowledge of blockchain, cryptocurrency interactions, and are coming purely for the game. Is that something that you guys have kind of taken away from the experience? Is that a common thread with these folks that you've kind of picked up on?
We get that sometimes. People come here for multiple different reasons, right? Like maybe you came here because you enjoy the gameplay. Maybe you got here back in the day because you read an article about us and how SPS has taken off. And, we started off at this amount. We went up to this crazy amount here. So everybody wants to hop on a bandwagon where they're making money. So there's lots of different reasons why people come. There's people that purely enjoy the gameplay. There's people that are trying to learn about crypto. Splinterlands has always kind of tagged itself as being wanting to make crypto frictionless and be an entryway for people to get into crypto, right? Like, crypto's this crazy, confusing place with all these crazy keys and all like seed phrases and we're just trying to make it easy and fun for you to learn about crypto and have a fun time playing our games, because it's not just Splinterlands, right? Like, we're launching GLS and there's other things on the horizon too.
When did the Hive keychain get developed? Was that here initially? I'm fairly new, I guess, not around as long as you. When did that get developed, and was that like a big help? Using that.
That was a huge help. I don't remember when exactly that got developed, but I do know that was a rollover from the Steem days, and it's a wonderful tool.
Yeah, you definitely recommend everybody use that instead of copying and pasting and keeping your keys on your computer or your phone.
Yes. Well, so you run into multiple different issues there, potential issues, right? So if your phone gets taken and they're not in a secure keychain, it's really easy for somebody to access your keys and all of a sudden drain your stuff. If you email your key from yourself to yourself, there's a copy in your email. If your email password gets hacked, all of a sudden your keys are now exposed. There's somebody that buys on the blacklist email and passwords, I'm pretty sure, and just scans for Hive keys, because there's somebody out there that just randomly has figured out how to hack keys, and our best guess is that they're being stored in some kind of messaging software or unsecured spot. So having them in a very secure spot, password protected, is the best way to store them, and not in an email or things of that nature.
Is that the number one takeaway from this podcast episode? Is key related?
Key related, man. Make sure you know what your keys do and keep them secure. The other issue with copying and pasting is that sometimes, depending on what you're storing your key in, you can also catch like an extra character at the end. And this is all software underneath everything else, right? So having that extra space at the end is actually an extra character in the string. So when it compares the string for what it should be, it says this is wrong. And even though your key is right, you're frustrated as all can be because you don't know there's a space at the end of your keys. So it just makes life easier. It's just a couple clicks. You make sure you know what you're signing the transaction for, and have a great day.
Yeah, good advice. I keep my keys like printed out in a in a file in a drawer in a box somewhere, and I think I might have them on like a notepad file on a flash drive that if I need to like plug it in just to do a copy and paste real quick. But yeah, definitely Yeah.
2 flash drives and written down.
Yeah.
The flash drives go in separate locations.
Yeah. Good advice.
So I'm curious.
The flash
Go ahead, Ro.
That often. It's like once every 6 months, I maybe go in and add some new keys to it. But you store your master key and your master password and your owner key offline away from any exposure. So then if you have a problem, you can go back and change your keys to new keys. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jack.
No, that's all good. I'm thinking, do I have a flash drive and do I have 2 separate flash drives removed from exposure? I might have to double check that. I'm curious about
man. Like I got some crazy money tied up in the Splinterlands. It became like it was this for a long time. It was a really expensive hobby, and then it became like this really big asset class for me. So I kind of take like the security of making sure that these things don't get destroyed pretty serious. I've read the guy over in the foreign country that keeps going to the dump trying to find that computer he threw out to get his Bitcoin back, right? And I'm like, I do not want to be that guy. I do not want to be locked out of my assets. Let me make sure if this place burns down, I have a backup over here. So,
words of wisdom. Cheers, man. I'm curious. We've heard Aggie and Co kind of talk a few times about, the first half of this year, the last half of last year, kind of really being focused upon the economy. All the while, the tech stack is being developed to kind of support all these changes that are coming down the line. And gameplay is what's going to be addressed kind of the latter half of the year, Q4, Q1 of next year. How much of a kind of lead time do you have as being part of the support team for those changes incoming? And I imagine that with a revamp to gameplay, that's going to include things like player walkthroughs and new player experience and all that sort of stuff, which obviously is going to hopefully relieve a big burden off of the support team's shoulders. Are you guys already starting to prepare for that stuff? Do you guys kind of have that mapped out on a whiteboard and you're starting to think through, or where in the process of preparing for these impending changes are you guys?
So the support team is actually baked into the 3 different dev teams that we have, so that we can have a better communication and also to help with like fires, right? So if we have a fire real quick, by having somebody on the Scrum team that knows who developed what, it makes it so much easier, so they can just get the exact dev and be like, hey man, there's a problem with your integration. Come give us a hand, fix this, because everybody wants a better experience. As for plans for the future and what we're developing in the future, I did get asked today to start getting a list around of all of the new player experience type things that support could think about that should be addressed. So we are in the initial planning phases of that, but I don't know. I'm not a product manager or owner on the Splinterlands side. I just do support management. So I'm not sure where in the pipeline that is.
So is that them asking you to kind of, go through and look at support requests and develop ideas, or is it also, you guys are throwing in some ideas you might have personally on what that new player development should be?
It's a Haggy, man. Let me just ask you, like, what do you want me to put in this list, man? Like, we've had to explain to customers how to drag the pack into the mana well to open their pack up. Like, we wrote an article on that because we had a customer that just didn't understand. They were like, well, we're explaining it once, we're going to write the article so then we never have to explain it again. But like, he was like, everything. We'd like to focus on the higher level stuff first, the most expensive and most common things, but we should really document everything and see how much that we can hit. So my team's going to really go through and kind of like isolate all of the issues and problem places and be like, here's what we should be doing.
Is there a 3Speak or Peak D account or YouTube account for Splinterlands support where you guys kind of house all your tutorials, your videos, your walkthrough stuff?
We have, so all of the help centers have articles on them. We didn't actually do any Peak D posts on them because a lot of our content is ever changing, right? So like 12 months ago, we were writing articles on rewards for DEC. That's no longer a thing. We're SPS now. So maybe we'll write an article on how to get your keys, but we changed the workflow up on that. And so now it looks different. And so We originally used Peak Deep Post, but now we do everything through our support center, our support sites. It's easier to update the articles and keep them up to date. And also it makes it easier for us to refer to the article through our ticketing software. It's kind of baked in together.
What's the website? I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Support.splinterlands.com or support.genesisleaguesports.com. Or you can just click on the little question mark in the upper part of the screen there.
Yeah, I don't think I've clicked through that in a while. I remember when I first started playing the game, which was probably back in January of 2022, I believe. And yeah, and you clicked on that, like the FAQ or that question mark, and there was, maybe like 3 or 4 things on there. I'm like, well, this doesn't seem very helpful. So,
no, come back now, man. Like we got, it's go click on it now.
Yeah,
there's crazy content in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How big is the support team at the moment? How many guys you got on your team?
There's 6 of us.
And do we have 24/7 support? Have we achieved Splinterlands TV type coverage?
We do not have 24/7 support. We used to do live chat coverage 24/7, but there's only 6 of us and we're human beings. So, and we're kind of not centered in. We're a lot of us are on the Eastern Coast. So by asking for 24/7, do you want to take the 11 to 6 a.m. shift? So,
well, I'll throw my hat in the ringer, man. Like I said, I've got a history of a shameless plug here, Royal. I've got a history of success and support. I'm based in Taiwan, so I'm complete opposite end of the world from you guys. So, let me know. I'll send you a resume, bro. But I want to hear your Hep. Is there anything else that you're curious about regarding the support related stuff?
Well, yeah. Well, I was just looking at this, and so it looks like you guys have some new articles up that on the Guild Power frequently asked questions. So, and it was posted a day ago, which is when the Guild Power update went live. So, yeah, how does that process go? Where you guys are like, well, how do you get frequently asked questions for something that's not even live yet, right? How do you kind of like game plan? Here's what people might ask about. Let's walk them through these steps.
We just assume that somebody's going to ask us how the whole new feature works. So our teams are baked in, and before it's released, we try to document. If we have the bandwidth, we try to document the entire new process of things that are released. We do that for both Genesis League and for Splinterlands.
Regarding GLG, GLS, is that going to be under the umbrella of your coverage, or is there plans for expansion of the team to kind of cover all the bids?
We cover both, and we're going to cover tower defense too.
Is there going to be some fingers from the Splinterlands support team reaching into Chibi Dinos, or is that going to be up on those guys?
At the moment, that's on them. I ask these questions every time that we're starting to do these things. Like, who's going to cover it? Like, I don't want to get this dropped on me last minute. Like, how are we going to take care of this? So, and I also, having had the TerraBlocks experience, I'm like, I want to get baked in before we get these things live. Let's get the bridges built before we have problems. I want to know how to route a customer when they come to me and not be like, that's not my problem, go over there. I want to know how we're going to take care of the customer and make sure that they have a great customer experience.
Oh man, yeah, I feel like having just met you, Royal, it feels like you are a perfect fit for the support team kind of mantra. The patience that you've got, the level of empathy that you've got, I'm sure that goes a long way. I'd love to see. Do you guys submit? I think I've had to put maybe one support ticket in, but I've heard through the grapevine, I've got buddies in game that have dealt with customer support on a number of different things. Do you guys have surveys that come back and kind of indicate the level of satisfaction? Is that something that Splinterlands has with the support team?
Yeah, we have a built into our ticketing software. We have a CSAT that goes out, and the overall team satisfaction for the last 60 days is 97% customer satisfaction. My stats are 95%, so I was slacking this last 60 days.
Oh, you're pulling the average down.
Pull the average down.
Who's better than you, man? I can't believe it.
My team is great, all of them.
Are they giving you flack for weighing down the average, man? Telling you to pull your weight? Where you at, Royal?
No, they love me.
Nice, man. So I'm curious with
the reason. Sorry to cut you off, but the reason
No, you're good.
bad scores is that they're like, hey man, here's this customer that we know is going to be probably not giving us a good CSAT. So you're the manager. Good luck.
Yeah, escalates to you.
Royal removed, that average is probably pushing closer to 98, 99%. So nicely done. Kudos to the customer support team. So I'm curious with the guild power example, kind of use that as a reference point. How long, we as the community first caught wind of guild power. I'm not even going to venture to guess, but maybe a month ago. How long prior to that, or was that around the time frame that you guys started preparing for release date and putting together all of the papers and tutorials and FAQ stuff?
So we put the tutorials together during the QA cycle. So as it's being QA, we document all of the steps and the procedures so the customer knows how to utilize the new product. Because the support team helps with the QA process. So we get in there. We're like, hey, listen, like, did you check this? Because we know a customer is going to do this. Like, and you gave us the green path, but this is like the purple pathway over there that this guy's going to try to do. So we should try this dumb thing here. And I'm not trying to call anybody dumb. Like, I do dumb things sometimes too. I'm just like, let me see if I can send this to this account over here that doesn't actually exist. What happens? Let me test your software. So we get it. And so, but as far as like the actual ideas, we get support is baked into the whole process. So even when Aggie's talking about the crucible of fire, we go into planning too, and we help with the planning and the specking out design of the things. We're like, hey, did you guys think about this when you're designing that? Hey, did you guys think about making sure that we also have tools so that when you design this new feature, we can have visibility on the customer's transactions and solve their problems instead of being like, hang on. Right. So, because this is all, we want a good customer experience. You don't want to approach us and have us be like, hang on, we got to go figure that out. You'd rather us be able to like know the answer sooner than later. So we're making the whole process of design through development, and we get to take advantage of the QA process to document those things.
Yeah, kind of thinking about the that CSAT score is sticking in my head, and I think you said the last 60 days. That's the number. I think that's kind of a profound number, given there's not a correlation between CSAT score and salt level across the community, which is a great relief for me. I would expect as the salt begins to rise and people start venting those frustrations and airing their shit out on Discord, like I think we've all been privy to see. I would assume that you guys catch the brunt end of that through more aggravated customer experience interactions, but it doesn't sound like that's the case, huh?
No, not really. So we don't get as much of the salt as you'd see in like the Tavern or the Mavericks. We do occasionally get frustrated customers that are just like, I just don't understand this, and that's a teaching moment for us to like walk them through the process of understanding how this is actually functioning. And I don't have a really good example, but maybe you didn't understand how a rule set worked correctly. You didn't understand how two rule sets work together, and you were frustrated. You thought that something was broken. We get to hold your hand and explain how that actually functions to you, and make you happy at the end. So I don't know. We don't typically get the lots of. If you come to me and say, like, I'm frustrated about X, Y, or Z, price wise or whatever, like, what can I do as a support agent? So
do you guys have a macro? Do you guys have a macro with a funny GIF to respond with that one?
No. We try to make a nice, polite response for everybody.
Can I open a support ticket on the scattershot rule set? Because it always seems to target the one monster I don't want to die first. Always gets beat up immediately. We hit 5 times and immediately dead right out the gate. Can I support ticket for that?
No, but if you find something that actually doesn't work as anticipated, like we do get bug tickets in and say, hey, listen, like this match didn't work right. Like the swiftness plus this didn't work. Can you check it out? We go through and we actually will QA it before we send it off to the dev team to fix it. We'll do a QA to make sure we can verify it's a bug that's reproducible on our end. And then we'll send it off to the dev team to kind of get thought about and how they're going to implement a fix for that.
Is there a particular support ticket that comes to mind, Royal? If I were to ask you, what is the most ridiculous kind of in-game customer request that you've gotten? Is it like, why didn't my Dr. Blight survive and win the game for me? Is it, why is RNG hate me? What ranks up there as far as the most outlandish, ridiculous request that you guys have gotten?
I don't even know. I feel like I put a bunch of people on the spot if some of them are listening to this, though.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sure it would be a situation that would.
Don't worry. No one
Yeah, according to Dave McCoy, we've got no listeners. Shout out, Dave. I'm sure whatever the situation is, it's going to resonate with more than just a singular person, Royal.
That's tough. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. We thought maybe this is a question you get asked a lot. I know.
No, no, I don't have really an outlandish one off the top of my head. I mean, I have a couple customers that there's a flag that pings me whenever they raise a support ticket, so I can make sure that we are providing above and beyond service for you today.
Oh, nice little slip of the professional hat there, Royal. That was great, man. So I want to kind of shift gears with you, Royal, and kind of looking ahead. So as a support team member, and then I want to get your perspective as a player, as somebody who appreciates the gameplay and the cards and all that stuff. What is it kind of coming down the pipeline that you are most excited about for the future of the game?
Long term or short term?
Both.
You tell me.
Long term, I am excited for multi-sig DAO guilds where the guild owns its assets and we have a guild account that we have multiple keys for, and we can utilize that at the big scale. But that's like a long stretch goal.
Is that, before you answer the other part of that question, is that something that's kind of waiting in the wings to be developed? I'm sure, I know
we have to wait on some other things before we can have that happen. So there's anybody that wants to expedite this, there's currently a Hive keychain proposal and maybe a Peak D proposal. I don't remember which one, but if you go look at the Hive proposals, there's a proposal by one of them to develop multi-sig support. Keychain is trying to develop multi-sig support. And so when they're able to pull that off, and we can use multi-sig easily with keychain, because it's not just us implementing code on our side, right? It also needs to be easy for the user, right? If I tell you, yeah, go sign a transaction with your key at this weight, you're going to be like, how do I do that? Or you have to sign a transaction at the same time Hef does, because in order for the DAO account to work, you need 250% signatures to sign that check to release the asset, right? So there's a lot of things that need to be infrastructure-wise on the blockchain level before we can even develop the technology up here for it.
That's great, man. Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to the day when the asset ownership extends to the guild level. And is that something, I keep thinking back to, we had Matt Clark on, I guess the better part of a year ago at this point, and he was talking to us about the way that they kind of run the ship in Roaring 20s. Everybody kind of owns their seat in the guild, and if you're going to leave, your seat's going to be put up for sale. If you'd like to enter the guild, you need to pay X amount of DEC to buy in. Is that something that you guys have historically done in Team Possible? Is that
so? Team Possible is close to between 13 and 15 sub guilds underneath one bigger arching umbrella, and each guild has got its own rules and how they kind of do the membership fees or not. So if you look at Team Possible Shield, the one that my kiddo runs, there's no fees in that. If you look at some of the other ones, they've got very strict fees and how they're set up. It's basically each one has got their own rules about how aggressive they want to be in brawls or how not aggressive they want to be. and or how much donations they need.
Yeah, I think I've just got to echo that once again. I think everybody's got to be excited for kind of that true Web3 experience to be brought to the guild level. Okay, so let's go back to that original question, Royal. What about short term stuff? What is it that you're looking forward to most?
I'm interested in and I'm excited about the SPS removing CP4 ranked requirements and making it so that everybody, regardless of the CP, you earn a base amount, and the more SPS you have staked, the more rewards you get, kind of like a bank account, right? So like I get X% interest if I have $100 or $1,000 in it, but if I dump 100 grand in there, they're going to give me a higher interest rate on that. So I'm really excited about that because I've been staking all of my SPS since the white paper came out, and I read that white paper. I was like, this is kind of cool. At the time, I didn't like the idea. I was like, I'm going to be hurting for this, but I've staked all my stuff in the meantime, and I'm pretty excited for it. What I'm most excited for.
Nice. How about land? I guess as you as a player and as a support person, and seems like you guys have kind of like worked out all your processes, but now we're adding land. It's probably going to add a bunch of new issues to your plate that you'll have to deal with. So kind of put both pairs of pants on and give us your comments on that.
I'm excited about land. There's a feature I'm really excited about land, but I'm not sure we've talked about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I am excited about some of the land updates.
Boss fights.
There's a joke about that someplace.
Yeah, I think it was Cryptomancer or maybe Farpatron that dropped the hint that it starts with B and ends with S, and the initial response was bots.
There's a lot of things that start with B and end with S.
So does boss fights.
Yeah, billion starts with B and ends with S too.
Yes, it does. I think you're throwing us on a wild goose chase, but we won't chase that goose for too much longer. So
are you going to have to, when land comes out, are you going to have to kind of consolidate some of these accounts you have with all these cards, or did you get some land in the initial sale when it came out back in the day?
I did. So at the time, I was on like a minnow budget, and so Cryptkeeper 17 comes up to me and says, "Hey man, there's this land sale going on. You should pay attention to this and get in on this." And I was like, I don't know if I want to buy some land. He's like, just give me $700. And I was like, I also don't have any DEC for this. He's like, I'll do you a favor. Give me $700 or whatever the amount was at the time. I'll give you the DEC. Call it a great day. So I bought the DEC from him. I got it in a pool. I got lucky in the first drawing there, and our pool got one of the regions at the time, and so I got in at like $7 a plot. So it's been great for me. I picked up a couple cents at like the peak of the prices because I bought them on the way up too, because my kids wanted some. So I have a region for myself. I have a track inside that region for myself, and then as I said, both of my kids have got wallets. So they're like, Dad, we want land too. Okay, so give them some land.
Sweet birthday present.
Yeah. They like flipping the excitement, right? Like, so part of the excitement of Splinterlands is like the shake of the legendary. It's like it still gets me every time. And it's like, ooh, that troll? That's better.
Yeah, credit to the creative team for that huge dopamine rush that comes with the opening experience, man. It's so much fun. I keep telling myself I'm gonna start stockpiling whatever Chaos Legion packs I get in my reward chests, and maybe I make it 24 hours before cracking those things open. But yeah, it's too much fun to ignore that for too long.
Weird random fact: the opening experience on mobile is actually slightly better than on in game. You get more things for like the rares, and the epics have special things as well as the legendaries.
Oh,
really?
I just learned this in the last 4 months because I was testing something else out, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't know that did that."
Is there sound effects or something akin to the shake, or what is it?
The frame is different. It looks way different. So I'm trying to remember. I think it's just go open one. Go buy a pack. They're less than $2 and go open one on mobile.
Oh boy, there's the FOMO. Good job, man. I think I've got to do it.
Go look at the experience. Then if you need to take a video for everybody else, take a video. You might have to open 2 or 3 so you get no, because the rares will pop. So yeah, you'll see one on a rare. You might have to open a couple if you want to try to get for the epic too, but each one has got slightly different frame around it than the normal frame. It's pretty cool.
So as a big asset holder in Splinterlands and kind of looking at the future of Steemonsters and Splinterlands as a service with Tower Defense, Soulkeep, GLS, and Chibi Dinos, and I just saw, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, Splinterlands was on a Twitter space with moonrunners.io. Maybe we'll see something. I see a little smirk coming across Royal's face as I mentioned that. So maybe we'll be getting an announcement next week with the town hall. How far and wide are you kind of reaching into the Steemonsters pie with the advent of all these other games and what's to come?
Me personally, I have to touch almost everything. We support it, right? So if we're making it and it's getting launched to the public, it's public facing, we have to support it.
Yeah, personally.
So I'm personally baked into the majority of it. I get to all kinds of access, and I'm pretty reserved because a lot of my conversation has been very reserved is because I just don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about. So
we definitely don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, that's why it's like I had to think about some things.
Yeah, for sure. We had Aggie on last week, and he was talking about, we talked with him a little bit about Arcade Colony and how cool of a concept that is. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that's going to be, awesome? I know that's probably going to cause, a lot of headaches for you if you guys are trying to onboard, hundreds of games. You have to build out the team a little bit more. What do you think?
A lot of that will depend on the final version of how the contracts for that shake down. Okay, are we gonna how much of that do I have to support? How much of that are you supporting, bringing us the game? And so it'll depend game by game, contract by contract, who's going to do what. Kind of like Chibi, they're doing it. Other things we're doing.
Are you excited about Chibi from a game perspective? Are you I'm going to make the assumption and say that you're a 90s kid. I grew up playing NBA Jam on the Super Nintendo back in the day, and lots of nostalgia kind of baked into NBA Jam. It looks fun, but I think I'm probably going to watch from a distance. But how about you?
I'm probably going to watch for distance. I have to I grew up as a Steem baby. That's how I got introduced to the crypto ecosystem, and these concept of gas fees where you actually pay somebody or burn the fee is really weird to me. So the whole Ethereum ecosystem where you burn your ETH in order to sign a transaction is just really weird to me. But I've had the reverse conversations with the Chibi people as we're setting up the thing. I was like, hey guys, what do you think about this Hive thing? There's no transaction fees. Like, that's weird, man. Like, how do you guys pull it off? We're like, well, it's easy. You just stake, and then you lock up the tokens, and when you're ready to leave, you unstake, and then you sell the tokens. Like, I don't know why you just burn your tokens just for the fun of it. So I don't know. I struggle with the other blockchains because that's a weird concept to me because I came at it backwards. Like, most people come at it from a burning token first, and then find out Hive. They're like, oh, this is refreshing. I don't have to burn for every transaction I make.
So are you a Rooney holder?
Yes, I have 3 Rooney. That was an interesting experience. It was actually my first time off of the Hive chain, really. I got a little bit into to Tron, not into Wax, but Rooney got me off of the Hive chain.
Yeah, I'm going to second that. That was my first experience with the ETH blockchain, and oh man, I was pulling my hair out. I was so pissed at the cost of just managing the Rooney. So, I think for me personally, that may well serve as enough of a deterrent to pull my Rooney from in-game and stake it on lands. I think, I wonder how many folks are going to share that sentiment of, kind of operating solely within Hive and then having to navigate the ETH blockchain to manage a Rooney and pull that guy onto land. What are your plans with your Rooney? Are you planning on putting those guys on keep castle?
I haven't really decided yet. So I own one, and each of my kids own one. And so they as they popped up, I asked the kids which ones they wanted. They picked the ones that they wanted, and then I got left with the third one, and that was whatever. But so I'm not sure what we're gonna do with them currently. They're rented out. I have one. A friend of mine has got one, and I think the third one is going to one of my kids' accounts. So it's kind of where we're at the moment. I'm not sure. We'll see how land shakes down, and if the kids want to pull it off or what they want to do with it. I don't know yet.
Is it going to be another ETH transaction to kind of to move it out and put it into land, or is it going to be handled in game somehow?
I have no idea. That's a great question.
There you go. Write that down. He's writing it down. It's going to be a support ticket. Look at
look at you, following in Royal's footsteps, volunteering for Steemonsters support, man.
There you go.
I just assumed that there was going to be another ETH transaction because I'm about 99% sure that bringing the Rooney into game was an ETH transaction. So like staking it into your collection. And I just had the assumption that removing that would be an ETH transaction, and then staking it on land would be yet another.
I think I don't often go to our Rooney management section. I seem to think that maybe you might be able to delegate it through your Rooney management, but it's been a long time since I've done that.
Yeah,
well, we've got time.
That, the first time I tried to, when I was getting into Splinterlands, and I was trying to buy some SPS, and I think I was trying to do it through like an ETH based wallet. And I was like, all right, I'll move, some ETH in, and then, but yeah, it was like by the time, all the gas transaction fees, it was like, all right, I gotta find a better way to do this. And that's sort of when I started to get, find out more about the Binance Smart Chain, because the gas fees there are pennies. I mean, usually a transaction is like 2 or 3 cents. So there's other blockchains that you're paying gas, but it's not nearly as painful as ETH, especially when that was back when ETH was really high and gas fees were like, yeah, you're going to pay, $8-9 just to move something from one place to the other. It's a nightmare.
So I just checked, and it does appear that you do need to sign with gas fee. So I will follow up on that, because that costs a bunch of people money.
Look at that, man. And earlier in the episode, you said that Splinterlands no longer offers live support.
Yeah, seriously. We might not be Discord, just got to do it on podcast.
We don't offer 24/7 live support like we used to. We do have on the GLS side, if you go to our Genesis League side, we have chat bots in both of the Genesis League sports sites that you can actually interact with support right in the lower left corner. And we also have that on the Splinterlands support site as well. It's just not baked into the Splinterlands game yet. We're trying to get that baked into the game eventually, so you can just have a live chat with a support agent if you have a problem right in game.
Sweet.
Try to make it easy. We want to make it easy for you to approach us and tell us you have a problem. We don't want you to complain. We just want to help you.
Oh boy. I'm curious about, so you were talking kind of water and death. Is that what you said? Water and death were your go-tos, or water and earth?
I think you said all the colors.
No, I never said red.
Okay, that's true. I'm the same way too. Yeah, like yeah.
So for Magic, it was life, death, and earth. In Splinterlands, it's earth, water, to a small degree life, death, but mostly life.
So are you
so like I came from alpha days, and so like I liked the Magic, and I liked life when we first came out, because they were pretty strong in the leagues I was playing and the levels I had. But some of my first cards were actually fire cards. The Cold-Blooded Miner, I think, was one of my first cards I had back before we had stats.
Yeah, I saw that. Back to that beatdown that Hepthorn delivered to you yesterday. Hepthorn ran the lineup of legend with the what's his face, the Feral Spirit and the assassin. Yeah, I love that legendary life team. I was very relieved to move into a world where Modern and Wild came out, and I no longer had to face that. But I'm curious, are you traditionally a Wild guy? Do you dabble in both leagues? Are you planning to change that when the bot proposal kind of gets pushed through?
I'm Wild. No, I go Wild. I like to. I've been here since the beginning, so I got cards I just like to play. Like Ruler of the Seas is fun. I know there's two new cards that are similar, but I don't know. Like, I just like to play some of my older cards. I have them. I'd like to play them. I play Wild, and you get more choices.
Yeah, 100%. Is land going to change that for you? Are you? I guess my question is your collection current? Are you maxed out with the Rift Watcher stuff, Chaos Legion?
So it kind of depends on which deck we're talking about. I play Splinterlands on a lot of different levels. I also play on like the investor level kind of too, or the having decks level. So I have a couple of people that play tournaments for me, and I have a couple of competitive decks, and they are maxed out at the league that they're at currently. But my personal deck is kind of all over the place. I got everything from novice level 1 cards all the way up to I guess I have level 8 summoners, but I don't ever use them. Level 8 rares. I'd say I'm normally in the gold league. But my cards span the whole thing, and the new ones are not maxed out yet. I'm going to take advantage of these low prices to keep buying more.
What's your favorite card of all time since you've kind of been here from the beginning? You've seen them all.
Halfling Alchemist was my favorite card for a long time.
Which one?
Halfling Alchemist and the Chain Golem for a really long time were like top cards I like a lot. The Sea Monster, if you get it up to have Thorns, is a card I like a lot. I already said Ruler of the Seas. Beela's a fun one. She's kind of weird and interesting. I don't know if she's a she, but Beela, the Radiant, is kind of fun with the life leech in life. It's kind of fun.
So are you a fan of Zuriel?
Yeah, I don't think she's got my personal. I don't think my copy's only level 1, so I don't think she's got enough health for me personally. I typically she gets destroyed for me pretty quick, but I think she's a pretty cool card. I like that she's got the weapons training.
Yeah, that's an ability I'm really looking forward to kind of see shake out at the higher levels. So you don't see it a whole lot just yet, but you know, as soulbound reward cards get ranked up, I think we'll start to see that creep into the meta. How is your journey for a max soulbound deck coming along?
I play in the gold league, so I'm not very far towards that max gold max deck yet. Max soulbound reward deck yet.
Yeah, I still haven't got my Cthulhu Mine Hunter. So can I submit a sport ticket for that I haven't gotten any BCX on that one at all. I keep getting beat up by that card recently now too, and it's killing me, especially people are playing it, you know, behind the back Jira, and I'm just getting all kinds of problems. You know, that with the deep lurker, it's getting crushed. Do you have one of those, or you know, are you coming across the same problem in the gold league? Because that's where I play too.
I'm looking to see which ones I do and don't have. Yes, I'm missing the Mastermind and Musa and Ava. I'm actually missing most of them other than the death one.
Oh, nice.
It's a sign. You need to embrace death a little bit more, Royal. Splinterlands is telling you. Yeah, I'll say again.
So I like Waka a lot for death.
Man, Waka gets pooped on unnecessarily. I feel like, you know, it's probably a product of the massive hype that was around, and everybody thought it was going to be an OP ability. But 3-mana legendary summoners is tough to come by, and if you can spread the love with some scattershot and opportunity and snake with the poison, Waka can just be devastating, especially in the lower mana stuff.
In the lower leagues too. If you use Waka, I know it's kind of like outside the realm of what people typically do, but my decks span the whole realm here. So I play from anywhere from bronze up. If you play in bronze with Waka, like kills it, man. Like you got that the extra poison just kills everybody else. It's crazy. It's like totally OP in bronze, but why would you bring a max level card down to bronze?
It's an expensive card to play in bronze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like kudos to the team for the distribution of Zuriel. I really appreciated that you could buy the single BCX. I hope moving forward that's kind of the MO with selling and distributing the cards. It just opens up the possibility for those lower league folks to go after a card like that. Because yeah, you're absolutely right. Why would you drop, $600, $700, $800 for a Lux Vega if you're playing perpetually in silver, and that's where you've settled?
Still an amazing card in silver, though.
Yeah. I have no qualms about the money I spent on that card playing it in gold, not playing it in max level. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, should I just bump up the diamond at the end of the season and run with this a little bit? But I'm like, nah, no, I'm fine here. I
got a funny story about Lux Vega. So I'm taking my kids to Legoland this year, right? And so we talk about getting plans around for Legoland. And my 7-year-old comes up, she goes, Daddy, how much Legoland costs? I'm like, it's gonna cost quite a bit, honey. Like, and can talk about the price. She's like, how many Lux Vegas would that be? Like 2 or 3? She's like, how about I just stay home and you buy me a Lux Vega instead?
Oh, snap. That's huge, man. A kid willing to sacrifice a trip to the promised land of Legoland in the name of Lux Vega. That's awesome.
Like, how about no? We already bought the ticket, but that's some crazy comeback skills.
Wow. That's funny. That's awesome. Man, she's definitely going to be, like she's the future of Splinterlands. It sounds like going to be, by the time she's old enough, it'll be an esport. She sounds like she's going to be the first kind of like poster child of the game.
Matt Clark's got kids that play too. There's actually I kind of joked about it, but there's a bunch of kids whose parents play that actually play too. It'd be kind of fun to do a tournament with them. It's always been a fun idea to have a kids tournament, but how do you prove it was the kids and not their parents or something? So that's why we never moved it forward.
Yeah, bring your child to tourney day. I like it.
Yeah, my oldest is 4, so she'll sit on my lap and watch me play sometimes and be like, oh, pick that one. I'm like, nah, see, we don't want to pick that one for this reason. And it's all a little bit above her head still, but I'm working on getting her trained up early. So yeah, there you go. There's a good FAQ page you can write how to train your child to play Splinterlands. Sounds like you've got some good life experience on that one.
Start them off opening the packs. You got to get them hooked on that adrenaline rush. And then we move into the more complex things.
All right. That's good. I'm gonna now you got me. I'm definitely gonna have to buy some packs. Check out the mobile. Do it with my kid. That'll be fun.
They opening the rewards too. They're fun.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. So Royal, I'm curious about I want to go back to the Soulbound reward cards. Is there Personally, I felt a lot of frustration the last couple of months. You guys both alluded to not receiving a couple of the legendary cards. There was
just the one I want the most. That's all I care. The one I have always wanted the most is the only one I'm never going to get.
There was the nerf to maybe not the nerf, but the adjustment to the reward card distribution. I think it was at Diamond and above that took place a couple of months ago. Is it RNG that's just kind of messing with the community's head, or was there? Are you allowed to, or are you privy to the information?
RNG, man. Like I said, I got lots of accounts. And I have some that are just strictly gold foil accounts, and I'll go in and I will open up the gold foil ones, and I'll be like, not a single gold foil. And I'll go to some random account over here that's got a bronze deck in it or something, and here we pop off with 3 gold foil legendaries. I'm like, thanks RNG. I don't need them here. I need them over there. So it is all just RNG.
Yeah, I'm wondering when we're going to get an announcement that these things are going to be unlockable and sellable, and when we're about, I guess, coming up on 6 months of Soulbound reward card distribution, and I've played predominantly in Champ for most of that time. And it was a little deflating because I think when Yaba was first kind of introducing Soulbound reward cards, the expectation was around 6 months to a max deck, or 9 months to a max deck, something along those lines. And Yeah, it was a little deflating when I looked at my numbers, and shout out to Splinter Cards for crunching all that stuff. But I think my Soulbound pursuit is right around 50%, and it feels like it's stalled in a big way the last couple of months.
Because Splinter Cards were you looking it up?
Yeah, so you hop onto Splinter Cards, and it is, I think, in the tools drop down, Soulbound Card Monitor, and you can key in your account, and it will show you what your progress is for both regular foil and gold foil. Yeah, I'm at 58% on commons, 35% on legendaries.
I am 17% commons, 13% rare, 7% epics, and 7% legendaries.
Oh man, okay.
But I'm also in gold. I'm not in the upper league, so I don't get as many chances at cards as you do.
Well, I appreciate the perspective. I should probably keep my trap zipped after hearing those numbers.
Yeah, let's see. I'm 38, 29, 15, and 17. So I guess I've had a little bit better luck with some of the legendaries, but not the one I want. I feel like I get tons of like the same, you know what I mean? Like I have so many like fungus flingers, and then I get tons, just like a lot of the cards I'll like, especially some of the common ones. I feel like there's like 3 common cards that I probably have, you know, close to maxed out for gold, because I just get a bunch of those. But so yeah, hopefully it'll all start leveling out. I don't know, we got end of season coming up, guys, coming up pretty soon here. We should maybe we'll all just be full of gold foil legendaries, and we'll have to, you know, jump back on in 12 hours and say how wrong we are.
That would be nice. So what do you guys think about the martyr cards? Do you guys level your martyr cards? Or you leave them at base level?
So I've left the neutral one, the whatever rat one, at base level. I for the longest time I wasn't going to level them, and then I broke down and started to level my fungus flinger because it does get blind, and I'm like, all right, you know, the blind is I really love blind, and I'll take it anywhere I can get it, especially with, I don't know if there's any other cards that have blind on a ranged attack. And so I find that's like really beneficial. So I decided I was fine. This was like basically this week too, where I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. This is the right decision. So yeah, that's the one I've leveled up. So I think, yeah, we want to keep the health low. So how about you? What's your opinion on that?
So on one of my alts, I leveled one up to somebody else's place, and I was like, oh wait, that was kind of dumb. Like I just added health. Like that's counter to what you need this card for. So I've been trying to pay attention to that in my own account, and then that's probably the only card I'm really upset when it flips gold foil, right? Because it's like you just ruined it for me. Like I had it at level 1, now I'm level 3 guaranteed.
You just got to delegate it to your kids.
You can't delegate those ones, can you?
Oh right, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's, oh man, yeah.
Well, I feel like it opens up a new kind of strategy, because if you know, I think the first time that I really started to think about the low HP playing in battles was with when I really started experimenting with brawls and Quora in particular, in opportunity rule sets, using, you know, everybody tosses in a fiend or everybody tosses in a chicken, but in like opportunity rule sets, that's just fodder for bloodlust, right? So it really makes you think strategically about, you know, if you're going to play one of these martyr cards, and if you've got them leveled up, you know, you want to be damn sure that that's going to be the fodder for whatever opportunities on the other side. So
that one to die before the one next to it.
Right. Yeah. That said, I do really love the Iziar. That's the life taunt with Martyr. I did just get him to level 3, so having him with the Martyr ability is just very cool. And with the life team, with all those resurrects, it's overpowering. It's a great card.
I don't have that card in my personal account. I think I have it in one of my brawl accounts though.
Yeah, I didn't realize that gets martyrdom. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the only life card that does get Martyr. Yeah.
Too many resurrects in life.
Yeah, well, it's great with that Martyr, and then if you could toss in that Mark strat as a secondary option for potential resurrects. It's money in the bag. I'm curious. So you're an extensive Magic the Gathering player. I think a lot of cool insights and kind of gameplay mechanics and rule sets and abilities kind of feed into Matt's mind when he's sculpting, future abilities and rule sets and that sort of stuff. Is there anything that kind of pops in your mind that you would love to see introduced to the game, whether that be rule sets or abilities?
Well, the big one for me if you'd asked me this like 6 months ago, would have been the dual color cards, because those were always really cool and interesting to me. As far as other abilities and crossover from Magic to Splinterlands, I'd like to see us develop. I'm interested to see kind of like how land and the crafting part comes out, because I think that we could see a lot of the enchantments and things that we had in Magic in the instance. I don't know. I haven't seen the specs for it. I don't know what we're going to build for that. And so I just imagine there could be all kinds of crazy things that we could do with the crafting part and the pre-battle mechanics by doing like the instance of adding equipment, or however we're going to make it play out.
Yeah, I've heard Bulldog is such a great advocate for the game, and he's always kind of putting forth ideas for, how do we further incentivize humans to play versus bots just being able to run the system. And he kind of put forth the idea of, maybe like a 48-hour buff to particular cards, whether it's, all Venari get, +3 speed, or, all death cards get, an additional nerf to the opponent, or, something like that, where every 48 hours that shifts keeps bots on their toes. There's not going to be enough data to kind of take into account for sculpting, the most prolific team for, that particular rule set, given that it's shifting every 48 hours. I would love to see something like that come into play where, maybe it's like class-based buffs or nerfs, or, element based, or, maybe a particular summoner type gets something a little bit different. Is there, as much as you're able to disclose, has that stuff kind of crossed the threshold from community to internal discussions?
I know in Splinterfest we were talking about the creative team was giving a presentation about the changing of how we use the word splinter, and we used to use it to describe the different colors, but those are actually elements, and the splinters themselves are like unique groups within Praetoria. And I could foresee a future where we would have something like the thrall, the rules where you would have like it affect a group of people at once. So like this card would affect anything that's an ant, maybe. So whether it be the red ant or the green ant or whatever ant, it would affect all ants by giving them +1 or something like that. I could see that coming in the future potentially. We don't have the capacity for it at the moment, but I could see that as an interesting crossover. Like talk about like giving the Venari, all Venaris get negative speed when there's a cat blade, right?
Yeah.
As if Kitty needs more of an advantage.
It would be on new cards. It wouldn't be on existing cards. Well, actually, make rule sets that made them interact that way too. I don't know. But I mean, we could build a complex battle engine and do all kinds of crazy stuff. It just takes time and development and making sure that it works right, and people wanting it to happen.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be fun. I'd be down for that. I think, we talked with the Battle Pass and things like that coming out, and maybe doing it some type of like draft, card draft type, picking your teams. I think, like a rule set draft would be kind of fun too, where you can kind of, try to pick those rules that would maybe favor your team the most, or you think might hurt your opponent the most. Yeah, lots of different ways it could go to keep the game fresh and interesting.
I always liked in Magic there was that one ability that would, when monsters died, you got tokens that would add to the field that were like 1/1 monsters that could attack. I think that would be kind of cool to like have a card that would, when your opponent's card dies, it would be kind of like the vulture ability, but it would spawn a new 1/1 monster that could attack, something like that.
Yeah, that would be very cool. I mean, just from the idea of creating an additional target to soak up a couple of hits of damage from opportunity folks, or
Sneak.
or scattershot fodder, whatever that is. Yeah, very cool. I think good faith in what Yab is doing. I think he's got some cool stuff up his sleeves for what's to come. I really look forward to the day when we get some big changes to gameplay. Additional rule sets is always fun, but I look forward to some meta shifting changes.
I'm excited. There might be a meta changing shift coming with land. That could be kind of cool.
Can you expand on that?
I cannot. Have to wait.
Oh man. Okay.
Do you guys have the FAQ built out for land and NSBS staking? Or any pages built out for that now? Or are you guys still working on that?
We'll still work on that, and so we'll build that out as soon as things will be ready to release. So we like to typical cycles like a 2-week cycle. So we'll load up on a Wednesday, and then we deliver. The first opportunity for delivery is the next Tuesday after that, and then the following Tuesday after that. And then we complete that sprint, and we've delivered everything we're supposed to in that sprint. So we try to iterate. So instead of pushing like one huge package at once, we'll do little pieces here and there and make sure the integrations are working. And so during the QA process, support would typically write the articles for that.
Yeah, I think from kind of zooming out and circling back to the beginning of the conversation, the shift to the shorter sprints and the kind of new dev cycle of moving stuff from QA to production, that had to be a huge relief of customer support for you guys. Just instead of drop shipping these massive chunks of big changes to the game and the mechanics at a time, moving to a world where it was kind of incrementally introduced. That had to be a huge shift for you guys too, huh?
It was a huge shift for us, and also being included in the QA process. It wasn't always historically part of support to do that, and so as part of the reorg last November, even before that we were doing some QA, but as part of the reorg, we really got brought into that process more, and as part of doing that process, we were able to document and get the documents out for people.
I love how, and I've always respected how community driven the game has been. We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the history of the People's Guild, the community, and the way that the team involves the community in kind of driving the game forward. And we've just kind of seen that expand and compound over time with the introduction of proposals and streamlining of proposals and all that stuff. And it's so cool to be a part of a game, a company where the customer is directly involved in kind of the direction of the product. I'm wondering if that's kind of taken to a whole nother level internally for you as a team member. Do you guys get a say in, or are you even asked for opinions on the future of gameplay, the future of abilities? I think some of that I think drips into testing on the QA and that sort of stuff. But how much of an influence do you guys have, would you reckon, on the future of mechanics gameplay?
So support is at the planning meetings when they bring in items and they plan how they're going to develop things. So we're able to have really good insight there. And then also, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, man. I just lost where I was at. No,
that's all good. Yeah, I'm just curious about the kind of degree of influence that you as a team member, not specific to support, but the internal community of Splinterlands, how much of a say and how much influence do you guys have on decision making and direction of gameplay, direction of abilities, introduction of all that stuff?
Anybody in the company can suggest ideas that they would like to have implemented. It'll go through a triage process and then approvals, and the product manager or product owner of that product decides when it's best to develop that out or if they should develop that out. But anybody in the company can give input and ideas that they'd like to have done.
So is there just like a giant list of, people's kind of wish list for the games sitting around somewhere, or sitting with these different project managers, and it's like, we'll figure it out if we can make it, and we've got other stuff to get to first?
So part of it gets triage based off of how important of an issue it is, right? So is it like a game breaking issue that we need to fix, or a bug we need to fix right now? Or is it a new feature that is going to be revenue producing? Is it a new feature that's going to be, it's going to require assets to be utilized in a different way than they're currently being utilized? There's a lot of different decision-making processes that go into the development of new features. Also, how many people are going to use it? Are we making a feature just for one subset? Or are we making it for the whole community? Because we really try to make sure we're not making just for one small group of people. We're trying to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the fun product that we're developing.
Yeah, I want to quickly credit Yaba for making those tough decisions, and oftentimes to his personal chagrin. I would say, I think he's always putting the community first. The big one that comes to my mind is the nerf on or the cap on alpha legendary gold foils, something like that, and the amount of production points that they could bring to a piece of land. And that was purely in the name of benefiting the majority versus the few with the big stacks. It's so cool to be a part of a company, a game where that community driven mindset is at the forefront of the leaders.
It's also kind of refreshing, like working for a company that's putting the customer first all the time. Like, how many companies actually do that? Like, try to we actually listen to what you want, and here is we'll deliver what you want. It's a cool place.
And you can submit proposals to actually measure what is the support of this particular piece that you want introduced into the game.
Yeah. So if there's like a really contentious piece, like the recent market change where we're putting in now a fixed rate and 2% gets burned, that was a really contentious thing, and the community got to decide how we should change that and gave input into that. It's kind of cool.
Do you go out and play any other Web3 games and just kind of see what they're like, or see what their support system's like? Is it either as personally or as part of your duties with Splinterlands?
So not as part of my duties, but I try to interact with lots of different support systems just so I can rate us versus them. What's your response time? How long does it take you to respond to me as a customer? Like, I am now a very judging customer because I know what the backside looks like on these things.
How the sausage is made.
Yeah, I know how the sausage is made. So it's like,
or the scrapple.
Yeah, the scrapple's made. Yeah.
I know that you guys have this capability. Why isn't it turned on? This is kind of dumb. But as far as going out and playing other Web3 games, I don't play any other Web3 games. I spend the majority of my time in Splinterlands or learning our products so that I can make sure that I can support them. I also do a lot of learning projects too. So I'm really interested and fascinated on the underlying structure of the Hive blockchain. So I do play around with the infrastructure too. So I play with multiple keys and stuff like that. And I try to learn programming languages and how to interact with the blockchain itself as like a hobby.
Royal, as we're kind of winding down, I'd love to hear, is there something, and throughout this episode, you've kind of heaped praise onto your team, and it feels like a point of pride that you have as customer support manager, and that CSAT score kind of, I think indicates that you guys are doing a fantastic job. So while you guys are the unsung heroes, I think public facing, you've got something to hang your hat on in terms of accomplishment and satisfying customers. Is there something in particular that you are specifically proud of that you guys have accomplished as a support team over last 60 days, last 6 months, last year?
So we've actually gotten our response times down a lot as a support team. So full resolution time trying to look this stat up specifically right now. But we got our full resolution time, how long it actually takes to get the ticket solved, down to our full resolution median time is currently like 8.7 hours. Not every single ticket is going to be that fast, but that's how quickly the median of our tickets is solved. And that used to be like days or weeks. So we're pretty proud of that we're able to expedite that and get customer requests wrapped up and solved for them quickly.
Brilliant stuff, man. High praise for you and the customer support team. And last question from me, Hep, I'll hand it over to you after this. Is there a kind of parting words of wisdom from you, either as a support guy, as a player, to the community, Royal? Is there anything that you want to impart upon the listeners, however few we have?
Two pieces of advice: come to our support sites. We have all kinds of articles and knowledge about things. If you're frustrated and don't understand how things work, come learn about it, and make sure that you learn about your keys, what they do and what they mean, because you can lose a whole lot real quick by not understanding.
And if you get Royal as your customer support agent, come on, people, let's get him. Let's not have him be the lowest scoring team member here. Let's bump that up a little bit. I know 95 is amazing, but let's go. We can get higher, right? Be kind on your customer satisfaction surveys.
That's great, man. How many last question? How many of your support tickets end with an in-game challenge, Royal? Just in the name of testing that things are working as intended.
So as far as like you as a customer challenging me as the support rep, or as far as like me having to go challenge somebody else on the support team to troubleshoot your ticket?
Either or.
So the first one where you as a customer challenge me, I've never had a customer challenge me to a match. As far as the second one, that's pretty commonplace. We try to actually replicate the issue to make sure that it's a bug and not some fluke on your end or something else. So I participated last week. I had a bunch of challenges, because we were testing the guild point stuff. And so we were doing some brawls to make sure that everything worked correctly. The crazy thing about introducing software is when you introduce something here, you might not know it has an effect on something totally random over there. And so we have to do like some thorough tests to make sure that everything works as anticipated.
Well, it sounds like you've just thrown down the gauntlet for folks to toss out a challenge for you as part of the customer service experience. Yeah, so something that I would love to see is challenges kind of post as in the same way as the tournament snapshot system. So for example, I can shoot over a challenge to Hep, and I would get the rule sets, the mana caps, yada yada, without Hepthorn immediately accepting said challenge. And then I could submit my team, and then when Hepthorn logs in 12 hours later, that challenge is live and waiting, and he'd be able to submit his team, and we could play as a tournament style. Exactly. Yeah.
That would be an interesting challenge mode. I'm not sure how easy of a lift that would be, because that's how a tournament mode works. It's not how current ranked works. Current ranked is like the sit down, and you have to have one right now, and everything is based on that. Not impossible, but it would require some extra build out.
Well, so something to bear in mind as I hope that, it looks like the challenge system has not gotten a sniff of updates from the dev team in quite some time. I would venture to guess at the most recent, it was pre-modern wild, because we've still got, if you accept a challenge, it's all wild cards. So yeah, I would love to see some cool stuff come to the world of challenges and just giving folks additional ways to play the game without. Are you taking notes there, Royal?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Notes.
Nice.
Toss them in. I don't know if they're gonna go anywhere, but I'll take notes and I'll toss them in. We'll see what happens.
Sweet. All right, man. Well, that's about it from me, Royal. I want to thank you from the People's Guild, and you've scratched a lot of curiosities for folks, so myself included. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on and have a good chat with us. And yeah, some good words of wisdom in here. Hopefully that you guys see the fruits of those labors, and Hive keychain requests start to dwindle as a result. Yeah, thank you for what you do, and unsung heroes, man. Show your customer service reps some love and appreciation. These guys have tough jobs and need to practice patience of the highest order. So thank you for what you guys do, and keep up the good work, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I say thanks, man. Thanks for jumping on. Just loved hearing your story. Loved hearing about, someone who, got into the game, was a player, was just, helping out in the community, volunteering, and is able to kind of flip that into, being such a high important member of the team. And I love that, you were playing that account last night. We randomly got matched up and got that in. That was so cool. Next time, I'm sure you'll beat me next time. So feel free to jump in Discord and talk some trash to me. But that was classic. It's great because we get to have to talk about bots so much. It's fun to talk about, players actually playing each other. So it was awesome.
It's also funny. We both were like, is the other person botting right now? Let's pull it out tomorrow.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. My Hepthorns never botted. I do have one alt account that extra cards I bought in bronze somewhere. But no, my main account's never been botted. Always me, win or lose.
Very good.
Cool. Thanks so much, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.